Now, we're bringing that passion home to you.
I've got some wonderful menus planned for this season that I know you're just going to love. And we're starting off with some warm winter meals, as well as some fun evenings like a poker night and a menu with an Afrolicious twist.
The Budget Speech is proudly brought to you by Chartered Accountants South Africa. A CASA can help your business take off and rise above your tax headache. Find a CASA tax advisor in your area. Go to findacasa.co.za.
I think tomorrow Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene delivers his first annual budget, and he's already signalled that tax changes may be on the cards as National Treasury tries to balance the government's income with its expenditure. But could these include tax incentives to boost the development of small businesses and increase jobs? Well, joining me on Newsleader with his Nell, he's Project Director at the SA Institute of Chartered Accountants. Piet, thanks very much for coming in. So what's your view? We've had a small business minister brought into Cabinet, a focus on SMEs for job creation. We've had the Davis Committee already making some proposals. Do you expect any movement on small businesses in the upcoming budget?
We certainly hope that there will be. Yeah, so when we look at what has happened last year, what the previous minister had announced in the budget, and commented on the Davis Commission proposals that they talked to tax rates. We were told that we will get some tax relief for micro businesses in this year, being the 2015 year. So yes, we certainly hope that they will deliver on that, and will give some tax relief for small businesses. I mean, we really support from SAICA's side saying that you've got to grow the economy. We hear alarming signs, the drop in growth rates and predicted expected growth for the country this year. And if you don't grow the tax base and the small businesses is where it will happen, then we will have a problem. So.
Well, I mean, Piet, you said there was talk about it in last year's budget. We've had proposals made by the Davies report. Has anything been acted upon, though? Have you seen any concrete action taken so far?
Yeah. Maybe we must just revisit what the Davis Commission proposed. I said that the current regime that we have on small business corporations doesn't really achieve its aim. It's targeting different businesses that they didn't think it was intended for. And their proposal was that we must address one of the main issues was compliance costs of small businesses. And therefore they said, let's look at the small business, the micro business, the below R1 million turnover business, and do benefits for them. And then they said for the other ones, we will replace it with a refundable rebate. So we will effectively give the small business some money to pay for their tax compliance cost. None of that actually made it into the legislation. There was quite a huge, not use the word outcry, but there was quite a opposition to these proposals and saying, listen, you have to give benefits to small business corporations. So the only one that they did address in the legislation was to say that small businesses have got a funding problem. So when they have to go and get funding to start out, it's difficult to get the funding, and it's often for those businesses or people that fund them that they won't be able to repay that. So they did bring into a small business funding entity into the tax legislation, which would enjoy tax exemption and would be able to give funding to small businesses. Now, this has only been signed into law a couple of weeks ago, so we haven't seen that implemented yet, and I think the Minister will comment on whether that will have any effect.
Well, you may comment on it, but do you think he'll actually move on it? Because National Treasury's hands are really tied as we go into the new tax year, because revenue is going up faster than it's not coming in fast enough for expenditure, rather.
Yeah, no, I think it will hurt to give the incentive to small businesses. So that would require less income, but we believe it for more less revenue for the government. But we believe that should be done because that will grow it. So that in future years we can get better income there.
I mean, what are the main problems that small businesses do face, and what can Treasury really do to assist them?
Yeah, there were a lot of proposals made. Just a simple one is that our tax system is based on an accrual basis. So if a small business does business on credit, you will have to pay your VAT and your income tax based on your debtors book, and get a benefit for your creditors. But normally they are not that huge. So one proposal was to ease the cash flow and help them pay VAT on a cash basis and also income tax on a cash basis, so that you don't pay the tax on money that is accrued to you, but you haven't received the cash yet. So that's one of the proposals we had. And we've seen in the past that lower tax rates incentivize people. Whilst the Davis Commission's stats show that there were not that many, it still is probably ones that wouldn't have been there, would the benefits were not there. So we think tax benefits would really help. And then what we found with the employment tax incentive that was introduced last year, I think a lot of small businesses, well, certainly it's our experience, were making use of that. So they were appointing new people, saying this reduce the risk of employing a person because I get a tax benefit for that. So on grants, and then you can quantify and measure that. Given to small business, we believe that could also assist the small businesses to become more viable.
Should the qualification threshold also be raised in your view?
Yeah, I believe it should be. We've got a 5 million qualification threshold. It seems that National Treasury and SARS, I think particularly, SARS is linked on to this 1 million one. And I must say they make compelling arguments when you look at the stats of how many small businesses, more than 50% of them are turning around R1 million only. It may well be that there are other businesses outside that are turning more than that, and it's not in the tax net. And it's another reason, if you've got a little less tax burden, a little less tax compliance cost, they may come into the system based on that. So yeah, we believe that a small business definition really needs to be better defined, and that the R1 million may not be appropriate.
Okay, well, Piet, with a revenue shortfall, how do you think National Treasury is going to make this up? Are they going to raise taxes in the budget? At which level will taxes be increased, do you think?
It's our thinking that they definitely will have to raise taxes. It doesn't look like there's an ability to reduce expenditure, and those expenditures are needed. So we believe they will. We think that as a first instance, value-added tax should be raised by 1%. From the 14% to 15%, that would assist them in contributing that. If you look at individuals, 1/3 of the bill comes from individuals, and we find that less than 1 million people in South Africa actually contribute to the bulk of that taxes. So if you increase personal taxes, that would hurt people that are already being heavily taxed, and we don't believe that is the right one. The value-added tax is spread more widely over the population, and it's easier. A lower percentage increase will get the money.
But doesn't that hurt the poorest of the poor, and wouldn't that be politically unpalatable?
It would be, and I think that's why last year the same suggestions were made that should be increased. It was an election year, and the minister chose not to do so because it would hurt, as you say, the poorest of the poor. There were suggestions made that we must extend the zero rating, so to remove that from basic living expenses, but that was difficult to apply. It's an administrative burden for vendors to apply. So yes, it is a political sensitive one. At the moment, the President is the beginning of a term, so if you want to make them now.
Because we'll have to wait until next Wednesday to find out. Thank you very much for coming in today, though.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
That's Piet Nhlanhla. He's Project Director at the SA Institute of Chartered Accountants.
The Budget Speech is proudly brought to you by Chartered Accountants South Africa. A CASA can help your business take off and rise above your tax headache. Find a CASA tax advisor in your area. Go to findacasa.co.za.
Whether it's generating wealth over time or simply enhancing your existing portfolio, Share My Portfolio will help you navigate your way to a healthy financial future. Join our experts every week as they provide you insights on investment strategies.
So he's already overexposed in terms of his equity component to those three stocks.
If you're going to be an investor, even when times are tough, the tough gets going.
The problem is that he's taking on unnecessarily